Hello again, Dan Alasso here with History for Today. And today I'm beginning to prepare for my summer elective, which will be open not only to juniors and seniors at Bemidji State, but also to grad students, which in this case means mostly Minnesota high school teachers who need to get their 18 credits of subject matter so that they can teach concurrent enrollment college and high school classes. This concurrent enrollment is an area that I'm also involved in as a supervisor of a couple of high school teachers who are teaching not only locally, but up by the Canadian border in International Falls next fall. So my 8-week summer course is going to be American economic history, and it will cover not only the economic details of U.S. history, but also changes in the ways that we have understood the economy and have told stories about it. The main focus, I think, will be the ongoing battle between the advocates of government involvement in national economic affairs and the ideology of minimal government and laissez-faire market freedom. The theme, I think, will be economic change in light of these two policies. Places where they've each worked and places where they've each failed, and especially the distributive consequences. I hope to convince students that a mixed economy actually does exist in America and is actually a desirable thing. And also that scale is very important. The issues and concerns that we have with small businesses and with local government are not the same as those that we have at the national and especially at the global level. I suppose in this context, I'll spend some time on interstate commerce and then at the very end of the course on global commerce. Issues of scale may end up being one of the major organizing principles of each of the weekly units. And my thinking on this right now may be inspired by recently listening to Nassim Nicholas Taleb's discussion of scale in his recent book, Skin in the Game. Additionally, I'll want to insert some historiography. I've made a list called U.S. Economic History in my Obsidian vault of the general topic areas that have traditionally been covered in American economic history textbooks of the previous generation. I'll compare those to the topics of the most recent textbooks and see if things have changed since that consensus period of the 1950s and 1960s when most of the early texts that I've looked at have come from. I suspect that there are remarkable similarities between then and now, and I will choose my narrative elements based on kind of this general outline. I've also looked at my own writing and my own reading notes in Obsidian, a lot of which touch on economic issues. Before I was a historian, actually, I spent 20 years in business, mostly in high tech, but I was also a registered rep and a registered principal in the securities industry for a while. So although I didn't become an economic historian, I have been quite interested in the issues of economic history. And this will give me an opportunity to surf my notes and to make connections and to draw that information out of Obsidian and into the outline for the class. The sections of this summer course are limited to just 8 because it's an 8-week course. So it's really much more impressionistic than it is definitive. But I suppose that is like everything else I do at Bemidji State. The basic weekly topics will probably be first the European and British origins of the colonial economy and the colonial economy itself. Second, the Revolutionary and early Republic era. Third, probably the Whigs and Jackson. And fourth, I'll probably need to spend an entire week on the Civil War, what leads to it, and then the consequences of it. Fifth, the Gilded Age and the responses to the Gilded Age, populism and then progressivism. Sixth, World War I and then the Great Depression. Seventh, World War II and the Cold War. And then finally, globalization. So these are very broad areas, and I'll have to be very careful about what I focus on in each of these weeks. So what I'll do first is I'll map the sections of the texts that I've outlined in that other note to these weeks and decide which elements I'll use. There are both narrative bits and interpretive ideas that I'll need to choose between to see how they contribute to the overall story that I want to tell and also to the themes. And then also, again, there are all of those other sources that I have accumulated over time and that are available to me in Obsidian, which I can use to fill out each of these chapter areas. The organization of this class is going to be based on the fact that it is online and asynchronous, as nearly all of our summer courses are. I will offer, and actually By offer, I mean require a couple of Zoom-based meetings between each of the students and myself to discuss their progress and particularly their research papers. So what will I provide in content and what will the students be graded on? Well, firstly, I'll provide a narrative, which I'll make available in video lectures. So I'll be writing 8 chapters that will probably be 10,000 plus words each, and that will be the story element of the course. Additionally, I think I'll want to give the students 2 major reading assignments each week. One will be a secondary source written by a historian covering the economic history of the period we're covering that week, a chapter or an article. And the other will be a primary source, which hopefully will focus on the consequences of the economic changes that we'll be covering for the people of that time. How much should students be expected to read each week in a 3,000, 5,000 level course if they're juniors or seniors, or if they're high school teacher or grad students? I'm going to say between 50 and 100 pages. To assess student engagement and understanding of these texts, I'm going to use hypothesis once again, and probably also require an essay each week. I think I'll make that essay available to the rest of the students also by having them turn these essays in as page notes in hypothesis as well. Maybe I will have the students each read and comment on someone else's essay as well. And maybe this would be an opportunity for me to try out Flipgrid for the first time also, since that would add a nice nearly live element, and the students aren't going to have an opportunity this summer to be together synchronously in a class discussion. They could write their essay and then basically report out a 1 or 2 minute synopsis of it on a video. And then I suppose the other students would be able to respond via Flipgrid videos as well. I'm just beginning to explore the app, but as long as there are links that they can use to allow folks to reach their video posts, I think those should be able to be pasted into the hypothesis annotations even. And so I'll report out on that as I try it and get some experience with how it all works and how the students react to it. The other thing that I want to work on in this summer course with these students is the whole reading to note-taking to writing process. This will begin with the hypothesis annotations of the articles and chapters, which will lead to reading notes. And I'll show them a variety of tools that they can use to take notes, ranging all the way from 3x5 cards to Obsidian. And then ultimately that will lead to the essays. And then once they get the hang of that, in the first couple of weeks of the summer course, I'll extend this to tell them that they need to level up in order to do this for a research paper. Now this summer, I'll be writing a retrieval practice short course and also my fall 1 credit writing course. So this will be an opportunity for me to get all my copy for this course content together and for the revised version of the short handbook, which I'm going to try to complete this summer as well. I'll probably make that optional for these students rather than required, since they will be coming to this course with different levels of preparation in writing. And if I can produce this as a content package that they can dip into as needed, then I'll also be able to put it out there on the web, possibly even someplace like Skillshare, where it might be useful to people beyond BSU. So those are my plans for this course. I'm excited about getting started as soon as I finish up this semester, which unbelievably ends in just a few weeks at the beginning of May. So I'll have more to say about it as I'm getting involved with the students. But that's all for now. So I hope people found that interesting. Thanks for listening. I'll see you again next time.